For a while now, I've been feeling like the Joker is taken too seriously. Like DC, Warner Brothers, and writers in general don't seem to realize that, in the Joker's head, from his perspective, he's supposed to be having fun, and he genuinely thinks that the horrific things that he does are actually funny. One of my favorite examples of the Joker showing his unpredictable and violent nature is a small detail in a scene from The Dark Knight Returns. It's during the final fight he has with Batman at a carnival. They started brawling, and once Batman gets the upper hand, the Joker does what he can to briefly run away from him, and as Batman is chasing him, the Joker starts randomly shooting people. He shoots multiple people who are in his way, and he laughs while doing so. There's no real practical reason why he starts shooting people. It could be to slow Batman down, but he doesn't even stop chasing him, so it wasn't even to have more chances of escaping. He just starts shooting and hurting people to amuse himself. Basically, to have a good laugh. It's such a small detail, but it's something that a lot of writers don't seem to fully grasp or to successfully convey in Batman stories. That the Joker, besides everything else he's trying to do, whether it be trying to prove a point to Batman or to damage Gotham City, above everything else, the Joker is trying to make himself laugh. And what makes him laugh is simply hurting people. Everyone knows that the Joker is a psychopath, but let's go beyond that. Let's get specific. Why does the Joker enjoy hurting people? Well, because he's a sadist, meaning that he takes pleasure in seeing and causing suffering onto other people. This is why the Joker enjoys hurting people. He's so disassociated from society and has such little regard for other living beings that he's pretty much completely desensitized as a person, and the only way that he's able to derive any kind of amusement and enjoyment is by physically or psychologically hurting people. That's the only thing that we've ever seen the Joker truly enjoy. This is why above everything else the Joker is trying to do, his main objective is always to cause as much senseless pain and suffering onto innocent people that he possibly can. And look, I enjoy it when writers use the Joker as a vessel to explore deeper themes, whether it be by portraying him as an agent of chaos or an exploration of mental illness and how a sensitive individual neglected by society can suffer a mental collapse. I really like the Joker movie. But that really wasn't a movie about a fully formed Joker. It was the descent of a mentally ill man until he finally imploded and allowed his violent nature to manifest itself. But we didn't really get to see the Joker enjoy himself. We did see him do catharsis, a lot of catharsis, but remember, the Joker is supposed to be a clown. He's supposed to be having fun in his own twisted way. The Dark Knight is another movie that takes the Joker in a more dramatic light. And even though The Dark Knight does admittedly take the Joker kinda seriously, with all that deep, heavy exploration on chaos and order and human nature, but you know what? The Dark Knight Joker was still kinda silly. When you really look at him, he was having fun. I mean, he dressed up as a nurse, he blew up a hospital, he surgically inserted a bomb inside a guy's stomach. Some of the stuff he did was outlandishly over the top. And this scene, this is it. When I first saw that scene for the first time in theaters as a kid, I laughed. I audibly laughed. It's just a perfect example of the Joker using dark humor as a method of intimidation. His fake laugh when he enters the room not only is legitimately funny, but also serves to show that he's mocking the mobsters and doesn't really take them seriously because they don't impose any kind of danger to him. And he wants them to know that. He's like a predator playing with all of his prey. When you really think about it, it feels like the only way that some writers know how to make the Joker into a serious threat is by removing most of the exaggerated and over-the-top aspects of the character. I mean, when was the last time outside the comics where we saw the Joker do any elaborate nonsensical scheme, or saw him using props, or saw him using his Joker toxin? These are all supposed to be iconic elements of his character, but nowadays, it feels like writers are afraid of using the more goofy aspects of him, so instead they just give in and turn him into yet another uninspired serial killer or mob boss take on the character. However, as I mentioned before, works like The Dark Knight already proved that you can still do exaggerated and over-the-top schemes with the Joker in a serious setting and he can still be menacing and terrifying while doing so. Like for example when he films himself torturing and killing a wannabe Batman. That scene is so effective and menacing in large part because the Joker is laughing the entire time. Just the visual alone of seeing this deranged lunatic torture a man while he's laughing hysterically is legitimately terrifying. Another legitimately scary Joker scene that was actually done in a cartoon comes from Batman the Animated Series. In this scene, the Joker has Batman trapped inside a trash can, and he starts to randomly stab the trash can. And just look at the Joker. He doesn't care if he's actually impaling Batman or not here. His main enjoyment comes from knowing that Batman is inside the can, desperately trying to avoid the knife. Again, it's like a predator playing with his prey, like a cat playing with his food. He's just having fun and having a good laugh with a big old smile. Just look at him. So I guess what I'm trying to say with this video is that I want to see the Joker visibly enjoying himself more. It's okay if writers want to use the Joker in a more serious way to try to prove a point or to drive home the themes of the story, even if they want to make yet another hyper-violent take on the character. But I just hope that they don't forget his appeal. I think there comes a point where you try to take the Joker so seriously that you lose what makes him unique and appealing in the first place. He's a character with limitless possibilities that literally can do any kind of plot, from something violent and menacing to something nonsensical and larger than life. Whenever writers choose to portray the Joker as just yet another unhinged serial killer or an uninspired crime boss, you're missing out on all of the character's potential. Most people are already getting tired of the Joker's overexposure, and it's inevitable that DC will use him because he's so recognizable. But if on top of overusing the Joker, they're also afraid of using him in new creative ways, and every interpretation we see of him feels like the same overly serious Agent of Chaos take, then people will be even more likely of getting tired of him. I want to see more outlandish, exaggerated, and over-the-top schemes from him. Because, as we've discussed, you can have the Joker use dark humor and do ridiculous things while still having him be menacing and dangerous. An interpretation like the Dark Knight Joker feels organic and nuanced, but something like 2016's Suicide Squad Joker just feels forced, superficial, and trying way too hard. I want to see a movie where Batman finds a dead body with a horrific smiling grin. I want to see a Joker that does something like poison Gotham's water supply with dangerous chemicals. I want to see a Joker who is capable of doing a surreal plot like the laughing fish, and see the Joker cause suffering in creative ways. In other words, I want to see the Joker having fun.